So, yeah, we are live now. Hello, everyone. GM. How's everyone doing today? So, today, welcome everyone to Developer DAO's workshop episode 2022. And today we have Rob from Mailchain. And he will be introducing us like how to integrate Web3 communications into your dApp with Mailchain. So, Rob, it would be great if you could introduce yourself to the audience.
Yes, of course. Hi, my name is Rob DeFeo. I'm one of the co-founders of Mailchain and the CTO. So I spend my time building the product, and I'm really excited here to share with you the SDK and with that, a little bit of the functionality about how it works. What we're going to aim to do today is to introduce you to Mailchain really quickly, show you how to set up an account. It's nice and simple. And then we're going to drop into some code so you get an idea of what you can do with the SDK. So first of all, sending messages that actually integrates with the inbox. I'm going to show you how you use different addressing schemes. So we're going to focus on Ethereum. We're going to look at, first of all, your Mailchain address, Ethereum addresses, sending and receiving from them, and also ENS addresses. If we get time, we'll go through a little bit of a demo on event-driven notifications, but it's very much time dependent. And also for you as a take-home exercise, if you are so interested to carry on, you can take a look at the passwordless and signatureless wallet authentication with the magic links. Now, what I'm going to do in this workshop today is I'm just kind of going to go through it. Imagine like a live coding exercise so you can follow along, so you can see sort of how it's done. For those that want to follow along, and I really do encourage this, everything that I'm doing is at ethworkshop.eth.limo, and it's all here for you either to follow along in this session or to take it away afterwards. Also, I think in the comments you'll see links to our docs and our website. So the docs, there's the developer docs section with more information, more tutorials, and a whole bunch of advanced section for people that want to take it a little bit further. So why don't we just jump straight into it? So this is where I'm at, and for this workshop, we need a couple of things set up. So a Mailchain account, I'm going to whiz through how to do that now. MetaMask configured in your browser, some sort of IDE and node installed. So let's jump over to Mailchain just to get you an idea of what's going on here. So we can have this is how you go to create an account. So here I'm going to give myself an account, dev-account. I will need to give myself a very nice, long, and secure password. Please note that you need to keep hold of this password. It is not, oh, here we go. I've managed to get myself a password that doesn't match. And so I'm going to accept some terms and conditions. And I'm just going to confirm myself a human. So here, I just want to bring your attention to, although you log in with a username and password, this actually uses a very interesting login, sort of authenticated login using the opaque protocol, which means that the password never leaves your machine. We do a bunch of different handshakes and signatures, but suffice to say, it's a very safe way of creating an account and gives you a really familiar experience. Now, what you do have here is, as you are probably more familiar with, a secret recovery phrase. This is a mnemonic phrase of 24 words. This is what your account is created from. The password really just encrypts and stores that for convenience. So you can generate new ones, and that's all securely done on the front end. So for here, if I was creating an account now, I would click this. So I'm not going to create an account because I already have an account, and I'm sure some of you have tried to go and create an account called dev account behind the scenes as well. So for that, I'm going to now switch to my existing account, and this is where we are here. So this is my account, and I've got it all created. You can see my inbox, and it just looks like an account for mail as you might expect. In many ways, it's a simple interface. It's somewhat unremarkable, but it solves a really key problem of getting users informed. So now that we've got our account created, we need to, so actually, there was one thing that I did not show you, so I will go back to the Mailchain account. When you create your account, you can download your secret recovery phrase, or you can view it. And this is really important because we're going to need that. Now, if you didn't accept the download, you can go into the settings and you can download the phrase, and it will then just save it on your machine. Or if you view it, you're able to view it and you can copy and use that. So the reason we need that is your secret, so you're able to authenticate with the SDK. So I'm going to follow along the workshop, and I'm going to get to part 1, and we're going to create the application. So I've already done this part, and I've got my IDE open. So I'm going to jump over to that now. So here we are. Now, what you'll need to do is, well, first of all, let's just create a Git repository. Helpful so we can track exactly what's going on. And I'm going to initialize myself a git ignore file. So this is important because we want to make sure that we're ignoring especially the env file. The env file is where we're going to store the secret recovery phrase, and we want to make sure that we store that in a secure way. So that is going to, I'm not going to open up the file because otherwise I'll be revealing my phrase that I put there, but you would create a environment variable that looks a bit like this, word, and save it as .env. So I'm going to just close that. It's just to highlight how that works. So now that we've got a little bit of an idea about how the secret recovery phrase, the get ignore and the purpose of it, I'm actually just going to go and commit that into my Git repository, just so we kind of have that out of the way. So just a nice simple message. Okay, cool. So that's all done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create myself my npm repository. I'm going to need that. Sorry, my npm project. I'm going to accept all the defaults. They are all for this one. So now inside of here, I've just got a package.json, the basics all set up. So now that we've done this, I need to create myself a file. I'm going to call a file .js, and that's here. So there's a couple of packages that I'm going to want and need. First of all, let's install .env. .env, for those of you who are not familiar, will essentially use the environment file. And this is like a good time to go create it if you haven't. So you can run a command touch.env, that'll go create a file, and you would populate it with your secret recovery phrase. So after that has been done, it'll mean that we can go ahead and run the files here. So, and we'll be able to automatically bring in environment variables from my .env file. So I need to also install the Mailchain SDK. And that's going to go ahead and grab the SDK from npm. And this comes with all the functionality you need to be able to go and send messages, look up addresses, and other functionality as well, which you can see from our docs. So now I've got my, well, I will certainly in a moment have my SDK installed. Here it is. I'm now going to go and start creating the code needed to authenticate with the SDK. So this is going to be the very first step that I've done. And this is going to use the secret recovery phrase inside the .env file. So let's get started here. I need to fire a few files. .env. I'm going to bring in direct config. That's great. I'm also now going to get the Mailchain. Mailchain SDK, nice, and we want to have Mailchain. Now that we've done that, this is where we're going to go and read the secret recovery phrase from our environment variable. Process.env secret underscore recovery underscore phrase. Now I've got that variable kind of nice and handy. I'm going to instantiate the Mailchain SDK. And we have a few different ways of doing it, but the way that we're going to use today is from the secret recovery phrase. So now that we have the Mailchain SDK instantiated with your authenticated with your secret recovery phrase, what we want to do is we're just going to, as a quick check, make sure that that all works. So also, so I'm just going to take a moment to pause and kind of catch up with anyone that's joined a little bit late. You can follow along this at ethworkshop.limo. And also, if you have any questions, please do add them to the chat inside of the StreamYard or YouTube or wherever else you're watching it, and then we'll be able to catch up with them either during the presentation or a little bit at the end. Okay, so getting back to checking that this has been authenticated properly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out the username for the authenticated user. So I went and created this, and it was using Rob_workshop, Rob-workshop, I can't remember, but I will find out now once we've done this. Log user. So we're going to go and run this. So npm run. Server.js. Ooh. Running here. Of course. npm start. There we go here. And here is what I'm missing. I need to actually go and call my function. Everything and make sure I've saved it as well. There we go. So we can see some of the nerves today. Great. Now, what's happened here is we've got a secret recovery phrase. We've passed it to the SDK. The SDK is just checking for who the authenticated user is and just logging it out. This has provided us with two pretty useful pieces of information. One, who the address is, and two, who the username is. So that's it. You've now successfully authenticated with Mailchain. So let's press on because while that's useful, I think we really want to get to sending a message. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go and grab, we're going to go and send a message. So we're going to use that same SDK. I'm going to go and compose myself a message. I'm actually going to keep this simple for the first one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send it from my Mailchain account to my Mailchain account. And we'll see what that looks like, and then we'll go on to some more interesting use cases. Subject. Message. We have in the content, we have two different types of content, HTML and text. That allows us to be compatible with a whole bunch of mail systems down the road if we want to. Mailchain, cool. And for the HTML, keep that nice and simple. That's the inside a tag. That looks like everything that I need. I just want to give a quick visual check that my very, very simple HTML is actually valid, which looks good. And we're just going to log out the results as well, so we can see that everything works expected. Remember to save it this time. and then we're going to go ahead and run it. So what is happening here now is it's gone and sent a message from my Mailchain username to my Mailchain username, so kind of yourself, the hello world, if you like. And there's a whole bunch of verifications and authentication. So verifications, signatures, and encryption, decryption, which we document in our docs. So I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but all to say that it is completely end-to-end encrypted, and only the sender and recipient can see the information. So here you'll see my first message that I sent myself. So hopefully that's all quite straightforward and makes sense. So let's press on and do something that's kind of a little bit more fun for us. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and create a Ethereum account. I'm actually going to create an Ethereum account that's never yet existed. I'm just going to do this here. Now, as you are very, very quickly aware, I've just created an account that is essentially compromised. You've just seen the private key, but that's okay. I want to show you how this works, and I'll be sure to delete that later and not add any funds to it. So here, I've got an imported account, and I've got my account here. I'm just going to give it a name because it helps me keep track of things a little bit better. TMT workshop. Oops. One. Great. Okay. So now that we've got the account created, we can go and add it to Mailchain. So we can see what that looks like. So I'm going to register a new account, which is the bottom. Sorry, did a little quickly. In the bottom left-hand corner, you can see the ability to register your wallet account. So this is a one-off operation, and I can register using various different wallets. And you'll note we have support a few protocols. With always more to come. Here I'm going to open up MetaMask, and here I've got my account that I just went and created a moment ago. So I'm going to connect that. I'm going to verify the address. Now, what verifying the address does is it creates this message, and essentially the message is saying that we're going to, for this address, use this messaging key, and we just keep things in order with nonce. So I'm going to confirm the signing of that. If you have linked this with a name service, perhaps an ENS name, an unstoppable domain name, the free name, Coinbase names, even a lens handle, you'd be able to go either automatically find it for you, or if it hasn't, you'd be able to go and search them. You can give yourself a label if you want to, but I'm just going to keep it like this and apply that. And for this done, I'm going to skip. So we're done. So now I can see my message. I can see my new Ethereum address here. And if I go to compose, I can see that I can use that address to compose from, which is cool. So let's go and let's go send a message in code using that address. And we'll actually send it again to my, my Mailchain address. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the from to actually be the address that I just went and registered. So I need to go grab the address. I'm actually going to pop over to MetaMask. Thank you. I'm going to copy the Ethereum address here. Now, when you use the, if you were sending it inside the UI, it'll make it quite easy for you to go and fill that address out. When you do it through code, you need to fully qualify the address. So it is an Ethereum address. So it's at ethereum.mailchain.com. My first message. My first, call this Ethereum message. Mailchain registered Ethereum address. Send that. I'm going to run it again. And let's done that. We've got another successful delivery. So I'm going to pop over to my inbox. I'm just going to refresh it to kind of catch it faster. And here we can now see the message sent to the first Ethereum address that I've registered. And the way that we've done this, you have actually multiple different inboxes, and you'll be able to see in these inboxes the different messages. They will get kind of aligned to them. So now that we've got this in place, let's go and do something else that's a little bit interesting, because what you would see there, okay, my mouse in the right place, is we've got this inbox, we've got this folder, but it doesn't have any messages in because I sent it from, so it all exists inside the workshop. Sorry, my Mailchain address. So now let's go send a message to a Ethereum address. And I'm actually going to do this in a slightly different order than what I did last time. And that's actually to highlight something to you. So I'm going to create myself another Ethereum address. I'm going to go and add it again to MetaMask. So I'm going to, how do we do it? Import account. Brilliant. I'm just going to give this a name. So let's see. Sure. I keep discipline for myself. Now, I'm not going to register it yet inside a Mailchain. So this is a brand new address that's not yet registered. And this is to show you one of the features, what we call optimistic sending. What it means is I can send a message to this Ethereum address. And when the user registers, you have the option to go pick up mails that were sent to them before they, in fact, registered the address. So here I've just replaced the 2 with the new Ethereum address that I just had. I'm going to run the command again. And this time round, it's gone and sent the mail to this address. Now, if I go and refresh this, naturally it's not going to be here because I haven't yet registered the account, the address. Now, with MetaMask, I'm going to click connect, and this time I'm going to make sure I have connected the correct address, which is 5A. Yes, it is that one. Great. Click next. Connect. I'm going to verify the address. So verify that I own the address. And here, again, we can see that same message, this time talking about a different address and a different messaging key. This is the public messaging key. The private key is kept in your key ring locally. So I'm going to sign this message. I will skip this because I'm not going to put a label on it. But this time I'm going to click synchronize. And what synchronize is going to do is going to check for messages that were sent before I actually did the registration. So I'm going to press synchronize and we hit done. And this is quite interesting. So I don't see the message here, but I see I've got myself an unread message. And here is my first Ethereum message. I forgot to change the content, but that's okay. And I can also see that it's put it inside the inbox folder for that message. So there it all is. And that's kind of like a little rundown of how Ethereum messaging works. And this will give you a good kind of like, primer of what can be done. The code is, I think the code is very simple. I think you'll spend more time figuring out what to write than the code to actually go write and send the message. But let's not stop here. Let's see what else we can do with this SDK and what else we can do with Ethereum. So now, or next, let's take a look at using an ENS name. And this is quite an interesting possibility. We can actually use our ENS names to go and send messages to them. What I'm going to do is I actually set this up earlier, so I'm just going to go and delete an account that I have so I can show you the process of registering it. So here, now this time round, I'm going to connect my account that I've registered with an ENS name. So if I click here and go to MetaMask, I'm going to go and this time select my one that I've registered with an ENS name, connect all that up. I'm going to verify the address. For those of you that are sharp, you'll notice this nonce is more. I've registered this address before a few times, but the process is essentially the same. Now, I don't actually need to do this. So it didn't find the address automatically because I haven't set it up in ENS to work with reverse resolvers. You don't actually need to do this to receive messages from it. But I'm going to do it because it makes things a little bit easier as a demonstration. It now suggests maybe this would be a good label. I'll accept that, and I'm going to skip that for the time being. Cool. And now you can see that we've got this new mailbox that we've got here. Now I'm going to pop over to the SDK, and I can send it either from or to my ENS name. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it, I'm going to send it from my ENS name. So Stola, always been one of this. ETH, and this time it is at ens.mailchain.com. I'm going to call my first ENS message. That sounds good. Hello, Mailchain. That's great. Now, I'm going to try and send it again. What's going on? So that just takes a few moments. The message says it's been successfully sent. So I'm going to pop over to my inbox, refresh things, and brilliant. I see it again here. This is, it is sent from rob.epistola.eth to one of my Ethereum addresses. Yeah, so it's like it really is that simple to be able to go and send addresses to ENS addresses. And like I said, this will work with a whole number of name providers. So we support at the moment free name, unstoppable domains, lens handles, Coinbase addresses as well. I think I've covered all of them, but there will be more to come also. And if you're using Near, it supports both types of addresses, the named and unnamed. So that gives you an idea about how you can send and receive messages from protocol addresses, so Ethereum addresses, or named addresses provided by name service, so in this case, ENS. And you can hopefully imagine how you'd be able to extend that to other types of technologies out there. So one of the things that we can do next, or one of the use cases that we see when people have kind of created this, is they want to be able to, if you think about when you're going to send a message, it's often in response to an event. Think about when a transaction's been made, or when an asset's been transferred, or there's an action required in a smart contract. And that's something that we can show you an example of how to do. So in this particular workshop, and I'll just, for those of you that are following along, this is part 3. Part 2 was sending to ENS names. We kind of went through that quite quickly. This gives you an idea of how to send event-driven notifications to your users, and these are based on on-chain events. We've actually got a couple of tutorials out there using different providers, so Alchemy and Tenderly. But in this case, I'm going to follow along with the Alchemy one. And there's a couple of things that we need to get set up first. I've got a bunch of them set up, including an Alchemy account and ngrok. An account and all installed. It's a really interesting tool. Actually, they're both great tools, so I do encourage you to spend some time taking a look at them. So what are we going to do now is actually go and create ourselves a new project. So I'm just going to make sure I don't have it here already. Great. So I'm going to go grab the repository to go clone. And I'm just going to head over into there. Okay. close all that. This example, in case that wasn't so obvious, is actually using the Alchemy Notify webhook server. It's a starter. It's really nice example code. It'll give you an idea of what we need to do. Actually, I'm going to just close it because I put myself in the wrong folder. I want to go directly to the Node Express example. Do it from the root, but this is just going to be a little bit easier for everyone to follow along. This case, we're going to use yarn. That is what they've got set up by the yarn.lock. And we have a couple of things to go and configure for ourselves. So first of all, we're going to head over to the notify section inside of Alchemy's dashboard. So that is this tab. If you landed directly on the dashboard, you would go here. So now what we need to do as well is we need to have ngrok running. So I'm going to run ngrok here. 80. Right there, I misspelled things. Let's look. This actually is a really neat tool. It listens. It kind of exposes your machine and allows you to be able to listen remotely on this. So what we're going to do is I need to copy this value, the forwarding value, and provide that to Alchemy because that's where it's going to send the messages to. So we're going to head over to address activity. I'm going to create myself a webhook. I'm going to pop inside the webhook URL, this one here. I need to, this has caught me out before, so I'll highlight it. You need to just add webhook-path to it to make sure that it does actually send it to the place that you want it to send it. And now I'm going to monitor a specific Ethereum address. So for this purposes, let's go grab, which one should we grab? Let's grab Mailchain 2 workshop. So this is the address that I created to register with that. I'm going to add that into here and I'm going to click create webhook. Now that's created me an address. So Alchemy actually signs each of the webhook requests to prevent anything unauthorized from coming through. And in this application, we actually use the validate Alchemy signature method to make sure that someone can't just send something to your webhook URL without it actually coming from where it's meant to come from. So to do this, we need to go get that webhook signing key. And that's here. And this is what I need to go copy. Okay, now that I've copied that, well, we're going to use that later, so I'm going to just keep it there for the moment and we'll come back to it. So we need to create ourselves a local environment file, and we need to add in the signing key to it. So I'm going to create myself a new terminal window. I'm going to just go and create this. And I'm going to, because we want to make sure, I'm going to be adding some secret values into here. And I don't want these secret values to be committed into GitHub. So to avoid any possible confusions there, I'm going to go into getignore, and I'm just going to add a series of ignore statements to make sure that this doesn't get committed. Okay, that is great. So now we're here where we should be. And I want to create and add some secrets into here. Actually, some environment variables. So let's create a port, host, signing key. And this is where I'm going to use the sign-in key that we got. And this is where I'm going to ask you to go and create your secret recovery. Now, I'm not actually going to paste it into here because you will see me do that. So instead, I'm going to close the file and I'm going to just use a command that I had prepared earlier that will go and copy it into that file for me. So yet again, we're going to need to use .env to make sure that it brings in the secret recovery, the various variables. So I'm going to add that. I'm going to install it, sorry, and that will automatically add it to the package.json. And here, we're going to alter some of the existing code. So I'm going to open source and look for index.js. And we're just going to make a few little changes. So let's have a look what we need to do. Yeah, so we need to be using, have import.env, env, env, that's fine. So we're going to want to make sure that we use that. Config. I'm going to make sure that we're using the correct one. So .env. And this is actually, this will make it so it works with different environments if you so choose to do that, which is a helpful feature. If though that there isn't environment, what we're going to do is just make sure that it says that it gives development. So make sure that's about that doesn't seem quite right to me. That's what problem would be. Now that that's been configured, we're just going to make sure that our port comes across correctly, which I think should be fine. The host is okay as well because we just called it host. That's also there. That's okay. That's good. Now we got that. Aha. So we want to make sure that we are, this is where we're using the validate alchemy signature. That's all set up already. That is great. And everything looks all good here. Now, what we're going to do is just have it verify that it's working properly. So we're not going to really make many changes. We've just going to set it up. I'm going to start up this. Great, that's all start. I didn't save it, so I'm going to stop it. I'm going to save it. I'm going to start it. Now we're going to take a look here, and you can send yourself a test event, which is nice. So this will make sure that things are actually working as expected. Ooh, so I've got a failed signature verification. So let's have a look at what I have done wrong. Aha. It looks like I'm not using the correct signature here. So I'm just going to kind of do this a little bit simply. To make sure that start again. Testament. And I got another failed signature. So let's just log this out so that we can see what's going on. Sorry, all of you. thank you for bearing with me while I am debugging. If anyone can spot the problem, please do know it in the comments, and I'll take a little look. So I'm going to test this notification again. Well, it's got the wrong key. That's not what we meant to do. So it is not grabbing the files from my, oops, it's not getting the files from my .env that it is pointing. So I think I've missed something out. Aha, here we go. I'm missing, I believe, local from here. So let me try that one more time. Now we've got the signing key that we're meant to get. There we go. Now I'm going to go send a test notification. And we've got it processing the webhook ID, which is great. So that's what we should be saying. Cool. So let's kind of get it to do something that we wanted to do. And we're here to send a message. So I think this is the starting point where we should be at. So I'm just going to stop this to make sure that I kind of know what state we're in. Okay, so let's have a look where we need to be. We've got our webhook. That's great. We want to make sure that we are doing something here. So I want to go, and I really want to make sure that we're using the right sort of information here. So let's go and take a look at webhook event and events that they have. So else. We're just going to have a condition. No, actually, what we're going to do is not that at all. I'm sorry. We're going to take a look at the type, and we're going to check to say that it is an address activity. This is what we want to do. We want to send a message in response to address activity. So actually, it makes much more sense to do this. Not an address activity, we'll just return a status 100. And a little message just to say send. Okay. So now we've got that done. What we do want to do though is respond to these address activities. So activity of webhook event.activity. There may be more than one in there, so that's okay. So we're just going to check the activity category. Not an external event. We're actually just going to carry on. Don't worry about that one. Now, if it is, we want to get some information from the event. From address. To address. Value. Asset and the hash. So we'll get that from the activity. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to copy and paste the subject and the body. Probably not much fun you were watching me type that out. So let's get ourselves our SDK installed. And while that's going, let's go set up the information that we need to make this work. So I'm going to have a actually we can import at the top here. Let's do that. That's fine. Import Mailchain. And now we're going to go and do similar to what we did before. We're going to get our secret recovery phrase from the environment variables. And that's all looking good. Now we're going to go and once we're here, create our Mailchain. So we've got our Mailchain SDK in place, and now we're going to go and send a message based on the response here. So equals awaits send mail. For the from address, I'm actually going to use. Oh, let's go get the user here. Useful for us. So from user.address, I'm going to send it to the addresses. Well, the from and the to address. That's that the transaction was affecting. So let's go and do that quickly. From address, Ethereum, mailchain.com. And just do a little bit of copy and paste here. Make sure I do get it right though. Okay, so we got that in place. I'm going to give ourselves a subject. We'll use what we did before. That was nicely formatted, and the same for the content as well. Great. Okay, so what am I missing? I think I need to make something asynchronous. So what I'll do is actually where do I need to? Where do we need to make it asynchronous? Let's see if it will help me out. Okay, so that looks okay. Hopefully I can add it in the right place. It's going to be awkward. Yeah, so I added it here, I think is what was needed. Great. Okay, so let's go start that up again. Brilliant. So that is listening. Now what I'm going to do to trigger this is to send a transaction. So what do we need to do? I'm going to send it to this address. I'm going to use, hold a second, did I create this on the right network? Otherwise we're going to have to do some, I created it on mainnet. So that's not what I really wanted to do, which is really disappointing. So I'm going to delete this. And we're going to have to just run through, otherwise I'm going to have to use some real ETH. I really want to do it at the moment right now. So add this here, web that second. correct. So we want to use this Ethereum address to monitor, and this time I want to get it on Go early. So we're going to create the webhook. That's good. So the signing key. I need to go do this. Now I'm going to have to just drag this out of the way. There's no way for me to do it. So if you can bear with me a second while I update the signing key here. And we'll bring it back here. Cool. So now I'm going to just, excuse me, get back to here and start it up. And the test transaction just to make sure that's good. Webhook.path. Did I set this up correctly? I believe so. I don't think it has the correct activity, but that's okay. So we're going to give it some activity and hopefully we can get what we expect to get. So I'm going to copy this address. This is where I'm going to send my ETH to. I'm going to go and pick an account where I have some, and I'm going to send it from here to this address. I'm going to send for that. So I'm going to go ahead and confirm that. Right. Oh, I'm not running it. That's not ideal. Sorry, I didn't actually put an amount. That's not ideal, is it? Let's go back. Okay. There we go. Oh, great. It did actually catch them. So that's good news. So let's go take a look at the inbox and see what's there. Okay, so this is the message that I created. It's sent via the webhook, and that webhook can exist and listen to any events, and you can do an awful lot of filtering and some really, really cool stuff there. And it's sent, in this case, to the addresses in question where the transaction took place. And I can kind of see them all in the various folders and filter them as I like. All right, well, thank you very much. One thing I do want to do before we jump into questions is just kind of bring attention towards the passwordless and signatureless wallet authentication. We didn't get a chance to go through this. It's a really, really interesting tutorial and definitely worth kind of running through, seeing how you can provide a secure authentication to users without them needing to even use their wallet to sign, because we take advantage of the end-to-end encryption that exists inside of Mailchain. Then here we have our developer documentation. We're working on this constantly. We've got more tutorials in the tutorial section, and we have some more advanced topics as well, where you can find out how to do further, more in-depth actions with Mailchain. So I want to give a chance for everyone to ask any questions that they might have. And thank you so much for listening along or following along in the meantime.
That's a really great tutorial, and I definitely love the event thing. Using the on-chain events for sending out the notifications, like it's a really good thing at a secure way. So if anybody have any questions, to ask them on the comments. Where we can be reached out and what time?
Sorry, I didn't catch what you said there. Can you say that again, please?
Yeah, I will just show it up on the screen.
Yes, of course. Yeah, sure. So we have our Discord. I will ask Misha, who's hopefully listening, to drop it into the chat. We have various different support channels. And also we have the hi or support at Mailchain. So what we want to do as well is, especially for you as developers, anything that you need help with, we're really here to sit and listen, spend time with you. We are working to expose the kind of inner workings of the SDK. What I've showed you is our very simple, easy way to get started. I'm really excited and interested to hear about the things that you want to do with our protocol that we don't necessarily expect. So we're working on exposing some of them internals. So that'd be a great thing for you to reach out about.
So, and we have one more question from Envoy. Could we style our HTML content in the mail?
Absolutely, yes, you can. So you can, I'll just compose a message here so you can get an idea. We have the various different HTML stylings. You can put full HTML with styles, images, emojis, GIFs, anything you like. So what you would imagine a really nicely beautiful formatted mail that you would receive in your normal email, you can send exactly the same thing via Mailchain, and it will show up inside of the inbox this way. I don't have one handy to show you. I've been sending quite boring ones, but yes,
Yeah.
it works.
All right, all right. And so, do we have any other questions? Let's wait for a minute.
So
And
I
I
think
guess,
there was one question, I think it was answered in the chat, but I think it's just worth asking here as well, is the optimistic sending, so sending a message to an address before they're registered, how long do we kind of keep the addresses, the messages for? We keep at least for 90 days. So this, this is like, something that's kind of useful and really important for people who want to be able to do that.
yeah. So let's, I think like nobody have any other further questions. So let's introduce some mini hack for Mailchain, right? That would be a good thing now. And yeah, so let me just share my screen. And here we are. So GM everyone once again. So we are here introducing you the second mini hack by Developer DAO for the Mailchain, and it will be starting from right now to the 14th of April till 8 p.m. UTC. You guys can find out all the details in the Notion link in the description, and the price pool for the Mailchain mini hack will be for $1,800, and you can check out the prices. Like these are awesome, right? Developer components. You have to build something for the developers using Mailchain, and there are three prices for that. And if you are not much of a dev or like don't want to build something out for the developers, you can build out them in the blog content, right? Write a tutorial blog for developers to help them out using how to use Mailchain, and you can win up like $150 for a particular blog. So yeah, and let me just share you the Notion doc over there on the comments. Check it out and start hacking. So, Rob, I do ask one question from every speaker over here. Like, what are the few ideas which you like to say during this mini hackathon?
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So I always think about that kind of what we've built was almost like a new way to onboard the next billion users. I think
Yeah,
it's a good chance it's going to be one of the first things that people come and do when they start using Web3. So a few ideas top of my head is like, what does that look like? What is, like some of the cool things that someone can do, maybe even without transacting. Then I start to think about how do we notify people of important aspects, and what sort of Web2 technologies exist out there that use email to work. So think about sort of subscription lists. Think about sort of really cool products that allow you to sign documents, send large files. There's some Magic Links is a great example of something that is a Web2 component that works really nicely with Web3. So I kind of encourage people to think about things that already exist in kind of Web 2 that are not yet there in Web 3. I think that's a really nice starting point. But I don't want to limit it in any way. I think there's so much that the
Yeah.
protocol can do. And there's so really interesting things that can be built on top of it. Someone wants to build an inbox, fantastic. Someone wants to build something that deals with subscriptions, or is able to, roll up notifications. That's also a really, really cool and interesting use case. If there's any questions or any doubts about use cases, please do reach out to us via Discord. And I think Misha's also posted another link as well, where you can get in touch with us.
All right, all right. So, yep. Do you have anything else from your side, Rob, or any
Uh,
suggestions for the viewers?
No, okay, suggestions really is just experiment, look under the hood, take a look inside the SDK code. Don't trust us, verify what we've built and how we've built it. Any questions,
Yeah.
please do get in touch, and happy hacking.
All right. So, last line, the happy hacking. So, everyone, see you soon, and keep hacking in the mini hack by Developer DAO for Mailchain. And yep. Bye bye.
Thank you.